Pag-ibig mo, lagi kang nasa puso't isip ko at inaamin ko na namimiss kita, na namimiss kita.
Hi Kaibigans! Welcome to the Asian horror playlist, which is the English version. So if you guys came from the Filipino playlist of Webis horrors, all of that is in Tagalog. If you guys can understand Tagalog, go check out that playlist. I will link it up here, somewhere around here in the corner. But yes, I am so excited to announce to you guys that this new playlist will consist of all of like the different Asian horror stories that I could think of. They're all from Reddit. Unless you guys wanted to submit any of your original horror stories for me to read here. For today, I will be reading 3 Japanese horror stories. Obviously in English because I can't speak in Japanese. If you guys saw in the community posts, I did post a poll where I was asking you guys what kind of Asian horror stories should I do. And initially, it was actually like Japan that had the highest votes. But then it changed because someone last minute voted for Hmong. So now it looks like Japan and Hmong stories are tied. But I will show you somewhere here, overlay over here or there, that a friend did show me a screenshot and they really went through the efforts of like voting immediately, sending me a screenshot. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm committed to that. I will be doing Japanese. Why am I saying Japanese like that? Japanese. Okay, let's go away from that. I will be sharing stories that are from Japan that are in English that I can read, and that you guys can understand. So, yes, I am so excited for this segment. Honestly, I am so happy that I'm going to be doing this. I picked random horror stories again, just like in my Filipino playlist. I did mix of long stories, short stories, and long stories, but it's never gonna be long as in an hour. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast. So I'm very much a skeptic when it comes to ghosts. So I still think there is probably some sort of explanation for this, but it was weird, and I still think about it from time to time. 17 years ago, when I first came to Japan on the JET program, I was sent to this smallish island. My apartment was pretty old and run down, and it was across the street from an old Buddhist temple with a graveyard. If that was me, that is an immediate red flag because I can never live next to the graveyard. I would not be able to sleep. I would be awake the entire night, I tell you. Every single noise, every single rustling is going to make me overthink so bad. Every now and then, both my lights and my TV would turn on and off in the middle of the night. It was enough to wake me up most times it happened, especially the TV, because at the time it was still analog, so it would just be static in the middle of the night. And for some reason, the volume would always be up high, even though I never had the volume high when I would watch TV. Okay, Mr. Ghost Skeptic, there is no explanation for that. That would freak me out. Static in the middle of the night? Why are you still in that apartment? I would have ran. I always thought that because the building was old, it was probably some issue with the electrical wiring or something like that. Yes, that explains the on and off, but it does not explain the highness of that volume. Like, it's showing signs that it wants to wake you up, buddy. So, after a few weeks living there, I ended up befriending the old lady who was the mother of the monk who ran the temple across the street. I could speak a bit of Japanese and she seemed lonely, so she quickly reached out. It was actually nice. She would bring me fruits or rice from time to time, and she showed me where the kombini and grocery store were on the island. She generally would look after me and make sure I was eating properly and taking care of myself and stuff like that. She was a really nice lady. After we got to know each other better, she started to tell me about how she could see dead people, though, and that there were a lot of ghosts that wandered around the temple and surrounding areas, especially my apartment building. Honestly, I thought she was probably just losing it a bit, but then my lights and TV did that thing where they turn on and off at night again, and it freaked me out. I'm telling you guys, I would have ran, especially if the locals are telling you that. Girl, you should listen to them. They know better than you. They lived there for a long time, especially as an old lady. One night, it did it, and I was so freaked out. I yelled for it to stop, but it continued so. Then I yelled for it to stop in Japanese, and it stopped. And that really, really freaked me out. I still think it was probably a coincidence, and there was still some rational explanation for it. But I will say, I was glad once my time at Jet was over, I could get the hell out of that apartment. I kept in contact with the old lady until she died a few years ago, though I do miss her. I, First of all, I'm sorry that she did die. I'm glad that she did die of old age instead of any heart disease or any kind of disease. Well, at least that's what I'm hoping. They don't really give context on whether she died of old age, but I do hope it was of that. And second, I would have probably quitted the program even if my life depended on it, or asked them to relocate me. And if they can't relocate me, I'm like, I'm out of there. I'm going home. Like, that is so freaky, especially like, damn. What if he did not know how to speak Japanese and could not say stop? That would have gone forever, the whole program. I think stop in Japanese is yamete. I could be wrong. It's not Yamato. I think Yamato is a car brand. Or something kind of brand. I think it's Yamete. Yamete. Yeah. All right. Right. All right, let's proceed to the next story. I was working as an English teacher and we were having the summer school activities. We always knew exactly which students were coming, and because the supplies were on a budget, we only printed the exact number of worksheets for each student. That day, I was only supporting the main teacher, so at the moment that we were supposed to do the worksheet, one of the kids called me and said he didn't had one. I found that weird because we've already handed everyone theirs, but okay, fine. I told the main teacher and excused myself so I could print an extra one for that kid. After I gave him the worksheet, that kid asked me to go to the bathroom, but he never came back. As I was busy having to deal with all the other students, I asked another teacher to go look for him, but he said that he couldn't find anyone else at the school. At the end of the day, when we were collecting everyone's worksheets, we had all of them plus an extra worksheet totally blank. Oh, and the reason why I noticed that the kid never came back is because his chair remained empty for the rest of the class. And the kids picked their own chair before joining the class. Okay, that was level 9 creepiness. It's just so hardworking. Like, the Japan culture is so ingrained in them. Like, education first. Like, they're so committed to like studying that even after they died, they still study. On the other hand, though, it's sad because they probably don't think they're dead. You know what I mean? So they probably still think they're alive. So it's just so random how the kid decided to just suddenly pop up and study. Like, what motivated him? But maybe it's something he had to do in order to move on, perhaps. I don't know the thought process, but that is for sure creepy. That's the end of the second story. And now let's proceed to the third one. When I first moved to the Inaka, I went to a local matsuri and met an eccentric priest who told me a ghost story about a spurned woman whose vengeful spirit haunts the local river. People kept giving me chuhais. I don't know if I read that right. And by the time the matsuri was over, I was completely sloshed. I tried to bike home and quickly got lost. Ooh, yikes. getting lost in a place that you don't know is crazy. I would have panicked. At first, I enjoyed just aimlessly wandering the countryside. But as I sobered up, wait, what do you mean sobered up? You were drunk? Sorry for the interruption. But as I sobered up, I began to worry. I had just arrived in Japan and didn't have a phone. Red flag. The roads were pitch black, illuminated only by the faint moonlight and my mamachari's anemic light. Although it was midsummer, a chilly wind swept over the rice fields. I shivered. Eventually, I saw lights in the distance. A pachinko parlor loomed over the rice fields, the only building in sight. With no better plan, I headed towards it. Although the lights were on, the building was closed and empty. A woman stood alone in the empty parking lot. I asked if she knew the way to my town's train station. She laughed in surprise, saying I was far away, very far away. She started to give me directions, but they were very confusing and seemed to contradict themselves. The whole time she had a mysterious smile that I couldn't tell was friendly or malicious. I got the feeling she was just fucking with me. In the end, I had no choice but to simply say thank you and continue riding. Okay, first of all, you saw that there's nothing else except for that parlor that was closed and empty, and you see a random woman in the empty parking lot, and you decided it was a good idea to approach them. Like if they had a car. No, even if they had a car, I would have still been suspicious. Eventually, I came to a river. I thought it might be the haunted one, but I was already pretty far away from the temple. In any case, I rode along the river downstream, figuring that it would eventually cross a main road, from which point I could make it home, and indeed it did. You're lucky you have a good sense of direction. I am jealous. I have bad senses of direction. Later on, I tried to trace my route on Google Maps, but couldn't figure it out. One day, while biking around, I stumbled across what I thought was the pachinko parlor, but it was overgrown and dilapidated, abandoned for years. Maybe the pachinko I saw was an apparition. Maybe the woman I met was a ghost. More likely, I was just a dumb, drunk gaijin. And the Anaka is arrived with a strange pachinko parlors plopped in the middle of rice fields. Pachinko sounds cute. I don't know why. I did enjoy this. Oh my gosh. I am so thankful you guys suggested for me to explore Japanese horror stories because you get to know more of their culture as well, and like reading, listening to like stories, whether it's of the horror genre or any other stories, like you could see there's some Japanese words embedded in it that I don't know, but I am planning to put it on the screen to help guide you guys understand to what this is. But I'm not a Japanese local, so I'm just gonna search up what I can find in Google. But yes, I hope it's accurate. And if you do know Japanese and you know what those words mean, please, 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 please tell us in the comments. Please correct me. I do not want to spread false information, but I also want to try my best to give you guys the information to give context clues to the stories, if you get what I mean. But yes, thank you guys for listening to my Huwebes horror stories. I am so glad that you guys are with me and watching and enjoying this segment. Just in case you guys didn't know, because I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning, but Huwebes Horrors is actually just like Thursday Horrors, and Huwebes is the Filipino word for Thursday. And I decided to do that because Agent H just sounds so good together. Like, I feel like I like that phrase, and I'm gonna stick with it unless someone else suggests a better name. But yeah, thank you guys for all the support. And I am gonna go now because it is past midnight, guys. It is past midnight. I didn't even notice that. I'm gonna go now. Sleep well and don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night.
there, baby. Ngayon lang ako nakakita ng katulad mo. You got me crazy. Kahit sinong lalaki mababaliw sa'yo. Panahon hanggang ka pa, laging pumupunta.